Around 2010, LeBron's haters would say he's only good because he's physically stronger and more athletic than everybody. But when he gets older, that he'll suck. Come the 2022 season, LeBron's 37 years old and is still one of the best players in the NBA. But is LeBron the greatest athlete to ever exist? Longevity and the GOAT argument. James has played over 63,000 minutes in the NBA. If we combine the regular season and the playoffs, that's the second most minutes in history, trailing only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. With so many miles on the odometer, he shouldn't have been so good at the age of 37. But he is, and it's all due to his work ethic and a little help from science. He was one of the first NBA players to use an individual approach to working out, doing workouts that are specific to him and his body. He employs a biomechanic that changed the way he runs and lands, which is a huge reason why LeBron preserved his knees and back. It started hurting him in 2005. James has a special warming up routine to minimize the chance of injury, and he even has electric warmers in his seat to keep his problematic back warm at all times. Nothing is left to chance with the King, who is spending $1.5 million a year to keep his body in perfect shape. He was one of the first athletes to install a cryotherapy room at his house to reduce inflammation. Other than that, LeBron also has a hyperbaric chamber, a state-of-the-art gym, and a whole army of chefs, massage therapists, and trainers to help him recover and perform at his best. With his tactical knowledge and supreme basketball IQ, LeBron proved that he can still carve up defenses at an elite level, despite his age. And even though there are some obvious signs of aging compared to his early career athleticism, James is a freak of nature, and he is still one of the most athletic players in the NBA. Even though the Lakers sucked, LeBron was surely a top 5 or top 10 player in the NBA, something that nobody else could have said in the 19th year of their career. Nobody defeated Father Time, but LeBron is still alive and kicking butt. James is the only player in NBA history to average 25 points per game for 18 years straight. It's now not a question of if, but when he'll become the greatest scorer in NBA history. He's currently 1,325 points behind Kareem on the all-time scoring list, whom he should be able to pass sometime in 2023. On top of that, James is also one of 7 players in history with over 10,000 assists. LeBron will soon go to eclipse the assist tally of one Magic Johnson, whom many consider the greatest point guard ever. If it weren't for Tom Brady, we could have probably called LeBron the greatest old man in sports history. But based on the evidence from 2022, the King is not stopping anytime soon, and he's probably going to be the best old man to ever play in the NBA. And that only means that the GOAT argument is going to lean in his direction a little bit more. Did LeBron ruin the 2022 Lakers? In 2022, the LA Lakers squandered another year of LeBron's prime. However, it's also fair to say that LeBron wasted the Lakers' season due to his poor GM skills. James kept pushing the Lakers to trade for Russell Westbrook, which depleted the team's depth and ruined their defensive identity. Under coach Frank Vogel, the Lakers had the third best defense in 2020 when they won the NBA title. In 2021, they had the #1 defensive rating in the entire league, and LeBron was one of the best wing defenders in the NBA. He looked phenomenal on defense when a healthy AD guarded his back, and when Alex Caruso was flying all over the court to make stops. Without AD and with the defensive black holes that are Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony, LeBron would have had to put in a superhuman effort, and he still wouldn't be able to stop all the holes where the Lakers were leaking. And maybe even more importantly, LeBron turned 37 years old, and his wheels would have fallen off if he tried to play defense with the maximum effort. LeBron knew that too, so he tried a different approach. With the Lakers sporting a bottom 10 defense in the NBA, there was only one solution left. LeBron could only try to outscore teams with an unstoppable one-man offense. At the age of 37, the King started dominating the games offensively in a desperate attempt to win games by himself. He nearly pulled it off, and he almost won the scoring title in the process. While most players his age are retired and are playing golf and drinking pina coladas, LeBron's proved that he's still an elite player and broke plenty of new records in the process. How did LeBron average 30 at 37? LeBron is clearly not in his physical prime anymore. He can't finish in traffic flying above the competition like he used to. More than ever before, LeBron uses his shoulder to bump players off him. He pump fakes more. He uses his body to seal off defenders in the post, and has all kinds of old man trickery to create separation. James also can't turn the corner as fast as he once could, firing up those turbochargers to propel him to the basket. Yes, he is still fast, and he can get to the rim, especially with a head of steam. But his engine has clearly lost 20 or 30 horsepower, and his drives lack the super-fast Bugatti Veyron quality he used to possess. Also, as we already mentioned, his defense suffered, which is the case with all older players. However, if LeBron only played defense and rested on offense, we believe he could still be one of the best defenders in the NBA because he is still big, strong, and super smart. But the reality is that he can't, and he had to muster all his energy for offense. So, how did he do it with an aging body and mediocre teammates? How did he have two 50-point games in 2022? There are several reasons for his offensive resurgence, and the first one is his improved jump shot. James was shooting 8 threes a game in 2022, a career high, and almost double what he averages for his career. LeBron made 36% of his deep shots, which is not phenomenal, but it's above league average. He also improved his free throw percentage to a very good 76%, despite averaging career lows in free throw attempts and shots at the rim. And the explanation for that is simple. In 2010, James would try to outrun and outjump guys to get to the rim, while the 2022 LeBron kept hitting shots from the outside because it's less taxing on the body. The second reason why LeBron is still so dominant is the downsizing trend of the NBA. In the first 10 years of his career, teams would often play with 2 traditional big men, and it was much harder to drive to the paint. In 2022, teams often play with small lineups and 0 traditional big men. Coach Vogel realized that putting LeBron at the center would be beneficial for the Lakers, and it yielded great results. Prior to 2022, LeBron never played center exclusively, mainly because he didn't want to wrestle with 7-footers, but because a lot of teams play small nowadays. A 6'9" James was often the tallest or the second tallest player on the floor. With no traditional big man, he could outpower smaller guys to get to the cup, and when the teams put a bigger guy on him, LeBron is still faster than almost every center in the NBA. James surrounded by 4 shooters has always been a successful formula ever since his Miami days. The King is one of the smartest and most prolific passers in NBA history, and with him at the center and 4 moving targets around, there were all kinds of possibilities for cuts and open shots. If he played with better shooters than Russell Westbrook and Talen Horton-Tucker, the Lakers' results with LeBron at the center would probably be even better. But even with the poorly fitted roster and a plethora of injuries, LeBron still averaged 30.3 points per game, while being one of the most efficient players in the NBA. His size, versatility, and that basketball supercomputer he has for a brain almost make him impervious to aging. The 2022 season was LeBron's second-best scoring season ever, and if he played enough games to qualify, he would have probably been the NBA scoring champ. James is now the youngest and the oldest player with multiple 50-point games in a season, and if he won the scoring title, he'd be the oldest player with that honor since Michael Jordan in 1998, who was 34 at the time.